Hello, welcome to Unit 8, Motivation, Emotion, and Stress. And this is the last module in this unit. It is Module 44, Health and Happiness. It's quite long, quite a lot of learning targets. I'll go through them quickly. Discuss the links among basic outlook on life, social support, and stress and health. Discuss the effectiveness of aerobic exercise as a way to manage stress and improve well-being. Describe how relaxation and meditation might influence stress and health. Describe by what is meant by the faith factor, and summarize some possible explanations for the link between faith and health. Explain the feel-good, do-good phenomenon. Discuss the focus on positive psychology research and identify factors that affect our happiness levels. And finally, discuss predictors of happiness and how we can be happier. Like I said, it's a pretty long module. So how does outlook on life impact stress and health? Wow, well, it does. Positive expectations often motivate eventual success. I love the image to the right of the flying penguin. Ways of thinking pessimistically or optimistically about our world have effects on our stress levels and overall mental health. Overall health, not just our mental health, our overall health. Really profound to think about that, right? Our way of looking at the world can have an effect on our stress levels and our overall level of health. How does optimism and pessimism impact our health? So pessimists expect things to go badly. When bad things happen, pessimists knew it all along. Optimists expect to have more control, to cope better with stressful events, and to enjoy better health. So in this study on optimism, when one research team followed 70,021 nurses over time, they discovered that those scoring in the top quarter on optimism were nearly 30% less likely to have died than those scoring in the bottom 25%. A famous study followed up on 180 Catholic nuns who had written brief autobiographies at about 22 years of age and had thereafter lived similar lifestyles. Those who had expressed happiness, love, and other positive feelings in their autobiographies lived an average 7 years longer than their more dour counterparts. By age 80, some 54% of those expressing few positive emotions had died, as had only 24% of the most positive spirited. So how does social support impact stress and health? Social support, defined as feeling liked and encouraged by intimate friends and family, promotes both happiness and health. Social support is important for our happiness and our health. Research shows that people are less likely to die early if supported by close relationships. Social isolation's association with risk of death is equivalent to smoking. Think about that. Social isolation's association with risk of death is equivalent to smoking. Close relationships have predicted happiness and health in both individualistic and collectivist cultures. So how does social support actually calm us and reduce our blood pressure? So in a study to see if social support might calm people's response to threats, one research team subjected happily married women while laying in an fMRI machine to the threat of electric shock to an ankle. During the experiment, some women held their husband's hand. Others held the hand of an unknown person or no hand at all. So what were the results? Well, while awaiting the occasional shocks, women holding their husband's hand showed less activity in threat responsive areas. The soothing benefit was actually greatest for those reporting the highest quality marriages. People with supportive marriages also had below average stress hormone levels. How does social support foster stronger immune functioning? Okay. In one study, healthy volunteers inhaled nasal drops laden with a cold virus, yikes, and were quarantined and observed for 5 days. Age, race, sex, and health habits being equal, those with close social ties were least likely to catch a cold. So showing this relationship between social support and stronger immune functioning. Fascinating stuff. So how about pets? I'm a pet lover, 2 dogs. You can hear them barking often in these videos. How can pets provide social support? Having a pet may increase the odds of survival after a heart attack, relieve depression among people with AIDS, and lower blood pressure and other coronary risk factors. What are some ways that we can actually reduce our stress? So developing more optimistic thinking, building social support, Having a sense of personal control is so important. Feeling like you are the captain of your own ship. Having a sense of personal control can help us experience less stress and improve our health. Sometimes we can't alleviate the stress though, and sometimes we need to actually just manage our stress by utilizing some of these techniques. Aerobic exercise, relaxation, meditation, and spiritual communities may help gather inner strength and lessen the effects of stress, help you to manage your stress. How can talking about a stressful event calm us? In one study, 33 Holocaust survivors spent 2 hours recalling their experiences, many in intimate detail never before disclosed. In the weeks following, most watched a video of their recollections and showed it to family and friends. Those who were most self-disclosing had the most improved health 14 months later. Does writing, how about writing like in a diary or something? Does writing about personal trauma help reduce stress? In an analysis of 633 trauma victims, writing therapy was as effective as psychotherapy in reducing psychological trauma. In another experiment, volunteers who wrote trauma diaries had fewer health problems during the ensuing 4 to 6 months. How about aerobic exercise? What is it? Well, sustained exercise that increases heart and lung fitness, also helps alleviate depression and anxiety. How effective is aerobic exercise as a way to manage stress and improve well-being? Estimates vary, but aerobic exercise such as jogging, swimming, or biking adds to your quality of life. About 7 hours longer life for every exercise hour. Aerobic exercise also improves your quality of life with more energy, better mood, and stronger relationships. What does the research show about the benefits of aerobic exercise? Compared with inactive adults, people who exercise suffer about half as many heart attacks. Dietary fat contributes to clogged arteries, but exercise makes our muscles hungry for those fats and helps clean them out of our arteries. According to some older research, there's maybe some newer stuff that is a little bit different in the area of nutrition and fat. Regular exercise in later life also predicts better cognitive functioning and reduced risk of neurocognitive disorder and Alzheimer's disease. What research has been conducted on aerobic exercise and depression? One classic experiment randomly assigned mildly depressed female college students to 3 groups. 1/3 participated in a program of aerobic exercise. Another took part in a program of relaxation exercises. The remaining 1/3 formed a no treatment group. 10 weeks later, the women in the aerobic exercise program reported the greatest decrease in depression. Look at that visual right there. What is the overall impact of exercise? Exercise increases arousal, thus counteracting depression's low arousal state. It enables muscle relaxation and sounder sleep. It's kind of like an antidepressant drug. It orders up mood-boosting chemicals from our body's internal pharmacy, neurotransmitters such as norepinephrine, serotonin, and the endorphins. What's more, toned muscles filter out depression-causing toxins. Does exercise lead to new neural growth? Well, exercise also fosters neurogenesis, the growth and development of nervous tissue. In mice, exercise causes the brain to produce a molecule that stimulates the production of new stress-resistant neurons. In what ways might relaxation and meditation influence stress and health? More than 60 studies have found that relaxation procedures can also help alleviate headaches, hypertension, anxiety, and insomnia. Friedman, Rosenman, and their colleagues tested relaxation in a program designed to help type A heart attack survivors who are more prone to heart attacks than their type B peers reduce their risk of future attacks. The researchers randomly assigned hundreds of middle-aged men to one of the 2 groups. The first group received standard advice from cardiologists about medications, diet, and exercise habits. The second group received similar advice, but they were taught ways of modifying their lifestyle. They learned to slow down and relax by walking, talking, and eating more slowly. They learned to smile at others and laugh at themselves. They learned to admit their mistakes, to take time to enjoy life, and to renew their religious faith. So what were the results of this study? Well, during the next 3 years, those who learned to modify their lifestyle had half as many repeat heart attacks as did the first group. Pretty significant right there. What is mindfulness meditation? A reflective practice in which people attend to current experiences in a non-judgmental and accepting manner. What are the benefits of mindfulness? Here's what some of the research says. Practicing mindfulness may lessen anxiety and depression. Mindfulness practices have also been linked with improved sleep, interpersonal relationships, and immune system functioning. Just a few minutes of daily mindfulness meditation is enough to improve concentration and decision making. What is happening in the brain, though, when we're practicing mindfulness? Well, it strengthens connections among brain regions. It activates brain regions associated with more reflective awareness, and it calms brain activation in emotional situations. What is the term the faith factor referring to? Well, religiously active people tend to live longer than those who are not religiously active, a curious correlation called the faith factor. One study compared the death rates for 3,900 people living in 2 Israeli communities. The first community contained 11 religiously orthodox collective settlements. The second contained 11 matched non-religious collective settlements. Over a 16-year period, belonging to a religious collective was associated with a strong protective effect, not explained by age or economic differences. Those variables were controlled. In every age group, religious community members were about half as likely to have died as were their non-religious counterparts. What is the research on longevity predictors? So one 28-year study followed 5,286 Alameda, California adults. Controlling for age and education, control for those variables, the researchers found that not smoking, regular exercise, and religious attendance all predicted a lower risk of death in any given year. Women attending weekly religious services, for example, were only 54% as likely to die in a typical study year as were non-attenders. What are some predictors of long life? The ones I just mentioned, just in a visual. Predictors of longer life: not smoking, frequent exercise, and regular religious attendance. So why might religious involvement predict longevity? Researchers point to healthy behavior, social support, and positive emotions as 3 possible explanations for the religiosity-longevity correlation. So what is so great about happiness anyway? Happy people perceive the world as safer. Happy people are more confident and decisive, and they cooperate more easily. Happy people live healthier and more energized and satisfied lives. So happiness is correlated to a lot of positive variables. What is the feel good, do good phenomenon? Happiness doesn't just feel good, it does good. In study after study, a mood boosting experience such as recalling a happy event has made people more likely to give money, pick up someone's dropped papers, volunteer time, and do other good deeds. Psychologists call it the feel good, do good phenomenon. Can doing good promote good feelings? People report feeling happier after spending money on others rather than on themselves. Young children also show more positive emotion when they give rather than receive gifts. Kidney donation leaves donors feeling good, according to this research. So this guy is Martin Seligman, a famous psychologist who's still alive, who has studied a lot and done a lot of research, in the field of positive psychology. So Martin Seligman proposed the scientific study of human flourishing with the goals of discovering and promoting strengths and virtues that help individuals and communities thrive. So what's the concept of subjective well-being? Self-perceived happiness or satisfaction with life. Subjective well-being is used along with measures of objective well-being. For example, physical and economic indicators to evaluate people's quality of life. What is positive psychology's first pillar? Taken together, satisfaction with the past, happiness with the present, and optimism about the future define the positive psychology movement's first pillar, positive well-being. Seligman views happiness as a byproduct of a pleasant, engaged, and meaningful life. So the second pillar, positive psychology, is about building not just a pleasant life, says Seligman, but also a good life that engages one's skills and a meaningful life that points beyond oneself. Thus, the second pillar, positive character, focuses on exploring and enhancing creativity, courage, compassion, integrity, self-control, leadership, wisdom, and spirituality. All good things. So how about the third pillar? The third pillar, positive groups, communities, and cultures, seeks to foster a positive social ecology. This includes healthy families, communal neighborhoods, effective schools, socially responsible media, and civil dialogue. So what research has been conducted on happy days? Social psychologist Adam Kramer, in cooperation with Facebook, did a naturalistic observation of emotion words in billions of Facebook status updates. After eliminating exceptional days, such as holidays, he tracked the frequency of positive and negative emotion words by day of the week. So what were the results? The days with the most positive moods, Friday and Saturday. Similar analysis of questionnaire responses and 59 million Twitter messages found Friday to Sunday the week's happiest days. 82% of How about the relationship between research on income and happiness? Well, 82% of entering US college students report being very well off financially is very important or essential. Money does buy happiness up to a point, especially for people during their midlife working years. As Australian data confirm, the power of more money to increase happiness is strongest at low incomes. Does money actually buy happiness? Well, it surely helps us to avoid certain types of pain, yet average buying power has almost tripled since the 1950s. Americans' reported happiness has remained almost unchanged. How is happiness relative? Well, two psychological principles explain why, for those of us who are not poor, more money buys little more than temporary happiness, and why our emotions seem attached to elastic bands that pull us back from highs or lows. Happiness is relative to our own experiences, and happiness is relative to others' success. In its own way, each principle suggests that happiness is relative. So what is the adaptation-level phenomenon? Our tendency to form judgments relative to a neutral level defined by our prior experiences. After an initial surge of pleasure, improvements become our new normal. I can feel this, I understand this. So after we get really excited about some sort of initial surge of pleasure, then it becomes the norm, and we require something even more, even better, to give us give us a new boost of happiness. So does more money make us happier? Imagine you won the lottery. You would likely feel absolutely elated, a world with no worries, no ills, and perfect test scores. But eventually you would adapt to this new normal. Before long, you would again sometimes feel gratified and sometimes feel deprived. Feelings of satisfaction and dissatisfaction, success and failure are judgments that we make. We based partly on expectations formed by our own experiences. It's all relative. So what is relative deprivation? The perception that one is worse off relative to those with whom one compares oneself. We are always comparing ourselves with others. Whether we feel good or bad depends on who those others are. And of course, social media has made this a bigger challenge for some people. When we sense that we are worse off than others with whom we compare ourselves, we experience relative deprivation. So how does this relative deprivation relate to income and happiness? For example, satisfaction stems less from our income than from our income rank. Better to someday make $50,000 when others make $25,000 than to make $100,000 when friends, neighbors, and coworkers make $200,000. Because it's all about who we're relating ourselves to. So what are happy people? Happy people are high in self-esteem, optimistic, outgoing, and agreeable, involved in close, positive, and lasting relationships, often more likely to be physically attractive, skillful at work and leisure, active in a religious faith, regular exercisers, and good sleepers. What are evidence-based suggestions for a happier life? So take control of your time. Act happy. Putting on a happy face, that kind of stuff. Seek work and leisure that engage your actual skill set. By shared experiences rather than things. This is really important. It's not the things, it's going to be the experiences. The shared experiences seem to matter. Join the movement. Get out and get some exercise. I'll leave this up here for 1 minute so you guys can look at it. So what are the steps to happiness? Give your body the sleep at once. Sleep is so very important. Give priority to close relationships. Focus beyond the self. Reach out to those who need help. Count your blessings and record your gratitude. Be grateful. Nature your spiritual self. For many people, faith provides a supportive community and a sense of purpose or hope. Again, I'll give you another minute to read through this. I'm not going to read all of it. Okay, back to the learning target reviews. So studies of people with an optimistic outlook show that their immune system is stronger, their blood pressure does not increase as sharply in response to stress, and their recovery from heart bypass surgery is faster, and their life expectancy is longer. Social support promotes health by calming us, reducing blood pressure and stress hormones, and by fostering stronger immune functioning. We can significantly reduce our stress and increase our health by having relationships with family and friends, and by finding meaning even in difficult times. Find your meaning even when you're going through difficult things. Aerobic exercise is sustained oxygen-consuming activity that increases our heart and lung fitness. It increases arousal, leads to muscle relaxation and sounder sleep, triggers the production of neurotransmitters, and enhances self-image. It can relieve depression, and in later life, it's associated with longer life and better cognitive functioning in later and longer life. So relaxation and meditation have been shown to reduce stress by relaxing muscles, lowering blood pressure, improving immune functioning, and lessening anxiety and depression. Mindfulness meditation is a reflective practice of attending to current experiences in a non-judgmental and accepting manner. Massage therapy actually also relaxes muscles and reduces depression. The faith factor is the finding that religiously active people tend to live longer than those who are not religiously active. Possible explanations may include the effect of intervening variables, such as the healthy behaviors, social support, or positive emotions often found among people who regularly attend religious services. So a good mood brightens people's perceptions of the world. Happy people tend to be healthy, energized, and satisfied with life, which makes them more willing to help others. This is called the feel-good, do-good phenomenon. Positive psychologists use scientific methods to study human flourishing with the goals of discovering and promoting strengths and virtues that help individuals and communities thrive. Subjective well-being is your perception of being happy or satisfied with life. The moods triggered by good or bad events seldom last beyond that day. Even significant good events, such as sudden wealth, seldom increase happiness for long. Happiness is relative to our own experience. This is called the adaptation-level phenomenon, and to other success, which is the relative deprivation principle. Finally, some individuals seem genetically predisposed to be happier than others. Cultures which vary in the traits they value and behaviors they expect and reward also influence personal levels of happiness. Tips for increasing happiness levels: take charge of your schedule, act happy, seek meaningful work and leisure, buy shared experiences rather than things, exercise, sleep enough, foster friendships, focus beyond yourself, and nurture gratitude and spirituality. Whew, that was a long module. Thanks for listening. Take care.